Good evening. We are back to the study of the Spirit's book. We are on chapter 2 of book 4, Future Joys and Sorrows. And we are on the item Resurrection of the Body. Last week, we read and studied the first question. So I'm going to ask Philip to read both questions because this item has only two questions. 110 and 110A or 111. In the original French version, there was no question 111, there was question 110A, and in the subsequent translations, a lot of the translations use question 1011, others continue using 1010A, and then goes to 1012. Okay, so in this version, you see that we have both. Okay, Philip, can you read for us, please?
Does the resurrection of the body signify reincarnation, as now taught by spirits? How can it be anything else? This expression and many others only appear to be irrational when people take them literally, which leads to skepticism. When they are explained rationally, free thinkers accept them easily because they are used to reflection. Free thinkers, perhaps even more so than others, thirst for a future. They want nothing more than to believe, but they cannot acknowledge what science disproves. The doctrine of multiple lives is consistent with God's justice, and it alone explains what is otherwise inexplicable. How can you then doubt that its principle is found in all religions? 1010A or 1011. Does the church actually teach reincarnation with the dogma of the resurrection of the body? This is obvious. This doctrine is the answer to many things that were once obscure. Soon, everyone will recognize that this doctrine is implied in every part of the sacred scriptures. Spirits do not communicate with intentions to discredit religion, as is sometimes claimed. On the contrary, they confirm and endorse it by providing irrefutable proofs. It is time to reject the use of figurative language. The spirits do not use allegory, and every statement has a clear and precise meaning without any danger of misinterpretation. Consequently, there will soon be a greater number of individuals who are sincerely religious and true believers than today. St. Louis. Shall I read the comment?
Yes, please.
Since science has determined the resurrection in the way it is commonly believed to occur is impossible. If, upon breaking down, it could be shown that the fragments of the body remain the same even when scattered and reduced to powder, we might conceivably entertain the possibility that the essential elements can come together again. But this is not the case. The body is made of various elements, including oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon. They are dispersed and form new bodies so that the same molecules of carbon, for example, can be used in the composition of thousands of different bodies. We are speaking only of human bodies, not animals. An individual's body may have molecules that were once in the bodies of our prehistoric ancestors. The very same organic molecules that you have consumed from your food today may have come from the body of someone whom you have known, and so on. Matter exists in a finite quantity. However, its transformations are unlimited in number. How is it possible that the countless bodies formed out of it are rebuilt with the same elements. Such a reconstruction is physically impossible. The resurrection of the body is possible rationally as a figure of speech or a symbol of reincarnation. If interpreted in this manner, it contradicts neither reason nor science. According to dogma, resurrection takes place at the end of time. According to Spiritism, it takes place every day. The image of the Last Judgment hides a beautiful face under the veil of the allegory of an immutable truth. However, its transformations.
When we learn about its real significance. Here.
When we learn about its real significance, the belief in resurrection as the only judgment goes away. When we carefully study the Spiritist teachings regarding the destiny of souls and their fate after the various trials they must undergo, it is clear that the assessment or judgment that condemns or absolves is not a fabrication, as skeptics suggest. We should note instead that today, this is a natural and accepted consequence of reincarnation and the plurality of worlds, whereas according to the doctrine of the Last Judgment, the earth is the only inhabited world.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning with the definitions, right? The item is called resurrection of the body. What we find in the Bible is Jesus resurrected. They all saw him being crucified, and then he appeared to the disciples, to the 500 of Galilee, to Mary of Magdala, and so on and so forth. That's why they said that Jesus resurrected. When we know that he didn't resurrect, he materialized, he appeared materialized in front of them with the phenomenon of materialization. That is, of course, something that we understand now. And for a perfect spirit, something very achievable in an easy way. Now, the concept of resurrection then carried on until the church, when the church became the official religion, Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire. They decided to eliminate the concept of resurrection in the sense of reincarnation, because until then, they would believe that in reincarnation, not with this name. The word reincarnation is a very recent word. First, what does it mean? It comes from the Latin incarn, from the flesh, again in the flesh. That's the reincarnation in Latin. If you look for, I was doing some research when it did first appeared, and I found that there was no use before the 1800s. And apparently it was first used in France in the 1800s. I've heard that Kardec was the first one to use the word reincarnation, but I couldn't find any proof of that. But I found that it appeared in France in the 19th century. The word in English, reincarnation, comes from the French reincarnation, which is also the same in Spanish. In Portuguese, they are all very similar because they all have the same Latin origin. The concept, and then you bring the Eastern religions, right? Buddhism and Hinduism. The concept of reincarnation that exists there, it's not with the word reincarnation. They use the word rebirth, which is the concept in Hinduism I found it today is very interesting, because they say that the rebirth is a new birth that can happen in a physical body, in an animal, or within your existing life. I think the newborn Christians that they call themselves today newborn Christians, meaning you are reborn during your life because you embrace a religion. It has some similarities with this notion from Buddhism, right? The difference is, in Buddhism, you lose your individuality according to parts of the beliefs when you leave your physical body, and then you come into a new birth, but you don't preserve your individuality when you leave the physical body. Again, there are different thoughts, different beliefs. A very interesting comparison that I found very illuminating on how they believe the difference between reincarnation and rebirth is that if you take a glass of water and you put all the water in another glass, you change the glass, but you didn't change the water. That's the concept of reincarnation, because the spirit survives, the physical body is the different. Now, rebirth is when you use a candle to light another candle. It's a different candle, a different flame, but it comes from the first one, but it's all new, right? So that's the concept of rebirth. The concept of reincarnation, according to Spiritism, which is you come into a new life in a different body, it's the more widespread belief and acceptance by those that believe in reincarnation throughout the world. Even if some of them still believe that you can be born in Buddhism, that you can be born in an animal or something like that. There are many that believe that reincarnation, in the sense that Spiritism teaches, is the right thing. The Dalai Lama, which is the supreme ruler of Buddhism, he uses the word reincarnation, okay? But it's a word, again, it's a recent word. The concept existed way before Christ and Christianity in Buddhism and Hinduism, but not exactly with these words, okay? It was more of a rebirth idea. Other words that come from the Hinduism and the Buddhism is metempsychosis, which is you transform yourself, right, into an animal or something like that, and others. Anyways, that's the concept of reincarnation. Spiritism brings the explanation of reincarnation. So here, what St. Louis is trying to tell us is that the church always teach reincarnation with the dogma of resurrection of the body, but they didn't want to fully go into the concept of reincarnation as explained by Spiritism, because for several different reasons. Of course, the concept of going to heaven or hell, or waiting in purgatory, which is what we're going to study next, which is the last item of the study of this book, Heaven, Hell, and Purgatory. So in the Christian beliefs, the widespread Christian beliefs nowadays is that you go to one of these places, Heaven, Hell, or Purgatory, and wait there for the final judgment. Spiritism asks us to be rational, right? So when you try to spread the belief of something that doesn't make sense, what happens is that a lot of people refuse to accept and either continue attending the religion they are used to for social conventions, or because they believe in parts of it but not all of it, or they leave it behind altogether. And so this ends up causing a disservice to our spirituality, because in the end, I was listening today to someone speaking, we don't need religions, we need spirituality, right? Religions are an instrument for us to connect to others and to spirituality in a more organized way. But if all religions cease to exist and only spirituality remains, meaning our belief in God, in the survival of the soul, in something more than the physical body, and we should be okay, a little more evolved society in a sense, right? A lot of people still need religion to refrain them from doing wrong things in their life because they are afraid of being punished. So until we have those spirits incarnated, we'll need religion. So we need religion for a very long time. But religion, as it evolves, like all religions are evolving, and we spoke about that last week, Danny. The beliefs are changing, and the churches are forced to accept the changes and to incorporate the changes. The Catholic Church, the Pope John Paul II, said specifically that heaven and hell are not physical places, are state of mind. So you see how the church eventually will evolve also, right? The church forced us to believe 300 years ago that Earth was the center of the universe and everything revolved around Earth. And eventually the church was forced to change because, we evolve, we learn, science progresses, and they are forced to accept the changes. So it's not that the religions do not change. They do change. His problem is that the big religions, they are more difficult to change course. It's like very large ship, right? A very large ship, to change course, it takes a lot of space and a lot of time. Needs a lot of space and takes a lot of time. A small boat can move very quickly around. So a big religion is like a big ship. All the changes have to come slowly and in a way that it's constant. But when it does, don't stay in front of it because you'll be crushed by it, right? That's you don't stay in front of a ship that is changing course. So the concept of reincarnation is going to slowly be accepted by the religions. 30% of Americans believe in reincarnation, right? So there are not even 1% of Americans that are spiritists. So reincarnation here is a concept that they believe, but they don't know how it works. Spiritism gives the explanation, the consequences, explains the logic of it, how does it work, and why does it happen, and how does it happen, right? Which you won't find anywhere else. So slowly it will spread, the concept will spread, more people will understand and learn about it, and more people will get comfortable because it makes sense. Again, the majority of us like things that make sense, that are not imposed down our throats. When we have things imposed on us, we end up with fanaticism, religious fanaticism, which is very dangerous, as we are seeing in the recent war that just started, right? So St. Louis tells us that as it will spread, there will be a greater number of individuals who are sincerely religious, sincerely religious is the key word here, and true believers than today. Nowadays, when you ask, especially in this country here, there is a lot of people that are saying that they are spiritualists, but they don't follow any particular religion. This is something that didn't exist 50 years ago. They were all following some religion or no religion at all. Nowadays, you have a larger number of people, still small compared to the full religious number of people here, but that is growing, that don't conform themselves to any religions because of the teachings that religions try to impose. So, as this number grows, religions will change to bring these people back and to attract them new people to the religions. And then we have the explanation by Kardec talking about science, basically, right? Why resurrection? It's not possible. Once the physical body decomposes, it breaks down, the elements are dispersed in nature, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, which are the main elements of the physical body, and nothing is lost, everything is transformed, and so it's used to the composition of several different things. So for a resurrection to exist, which is you going back to your old physical body, the old physical body would have to be able to reassemble. And we know that's not possible. How we are going to reassemble billions and billions of people that is integrated in nature, right? So when you start thinking about the concept of reincarnation, which is the soul survives the physical body, goes back to the spiritual world, spirit. And then the spirit is born in a new physical body that is formed especially for that spirit. That's a concept that you may not believe, but it makes much more sense than resurrection. Even if you ask a scientist that is a materialist that doesn't believe in anything spiritual, you explain the two concepts and the scientist will tell you, well, reincarnation makes more sense than resurrection, because the scientist understands that the physical body decomposes. I think that's it. Elmo, something to add here?
I don't think so. I think the main difference is exactly what you said. Resurrection suggests that the spiritual will return to the same physical body they used before. You're going to continue to recycle that same physical body. And that happens, and that is believed in many different religions. And the reincarnation, the formation of a completely new body. What spiritism does as a science is explains what's possible, what's not possible, scientifically speaking. And as a philosophy, it gives the reason why of reincarnation. The why is and more important, the what for, of reincarnation. That reincarnation of better divine justice would cease to make sense without the concept of reincarnation if you think well about that. And the spirit just go philosophically on that point, which I don't think we have time to go through right now. Right? And considering the other institutions, they all vary also, even inside of themselves, like even in Buddhism, there is a tremendous variation in Buddhism. Wherever it stops. So it starts in India and it moved farther east, and wherever some of those masters stopped, they absorbed the local traditions and that got implemented into Buddhism, and they continue. So the Buddhism in Japan is not the same of the one of the Korea, which is not the same of one that is practiced in Nepal, only India. But yes, the idea that at the end, with the death of the body, there is like a sparkle that initiates a new life. And if that spark is not from a life who have reached the nirvana, then it could the process until it reaches nirvana. If that individual had reached nirvana, when it dies, now it does not illuminate and make another life. It goes to the pantheism because now he has no more suffering, right? So it's different. In Hinduism, there is a concept of the soul that continues. They're going to use a new body as well. What I don't know if it's the same what for that we have in spiritual to reach spiritual perfection. With them, we know that you bring the spirit of the soul brings the karma, right? And the next life will be all based on those karmas, the goods that you have done and the not so goods that you have done. That the next life with a new body will reflect all your karmas. Your necessity is to suffer more, or if you do good, you're going to have good dharma. What I don't know is with the idea of continuous progress until you reach the complete purification, what would be the nirvana of the Buddhism?
For those that would like to read more about reincarnation, the best description we can find in the books is in the book Missionaries of the Light, chapter 13, that describes the process of reincarnation very specifically in terms of the reincarnation. We studied this book some years ago, The Reincarnation of Sigismundo. It's explained in detail in the Center of Reincarnation in Ossular. André Luiz visited, spent some time there. So, you know, if you're going to read chapters 12, 13, 11, 12, and 13 are the ones that go into explaining the place and the concept and how it happens and why some people come with some imperfections and others come with some challenges, and talks about the completers, which are the ones that come with and achieve the full objectives of the reincarnation, that most of us achieve 40 to 60% only. So again, Missionaries of the Light, the book by André Luiz and through the medium Francisco Xavier, chapter 13. Okay. Any questions here on reincarnation, resurrection? Because then we're moving to heaven, hell, and purgatory, which is the last item of the book. Danny.
So I Googled here this part that it says that the resurrection will happen on the judgment day when the world ends, right? Yeah. So it says here that this event is told in the Bible that when the world ends, all the people will be alive again. That's what they're mentioning here. Is that it?
Yeah, that's so the concept.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Yes. I asked someone, a religious person that is not Catholic. It's another one of the Protestant different. I don't know what it's called. Forgot what it's called.
They call it Christians, yeah, like Christians.
Protestant sectors, and he was explaining to me that according to what they believe, when we die, we all stay in a sleep state until the end of the world, and then we all wake up again together for the final judgment.
Like wake up, like this, like Jesus resurrected, like coming back to the body.
No, in the spiritual world, and again, he doesn't know. He cannot explain. He just tells we are all going to awake and face the final judgment. And I asked, awake and get the physical body back, or awake in the spiritual world? I don't know. We'll be either in heaven or in hell or in purgatory and awake there. And I said, there, how? But it doesn't. They don't know how to explain. They don't have an explanation. It's all dogmas. Dogmas don't have explanation, right? Now, the Bible says that. Not exactly. The translations of the translations of the translations said that. That's not what Jesus wanted to convey. What Jesus wants to convey is, by the end, we all will be, together with God as perfect spirits. That's the idea of what Christ say. And then what he said was mistranslated, misinterpreted, and that's what they're decided to interpret nowadays, that we are all going to, the world is going to end, and it's funny because I was watching a live today, and the person who was giving the live said that the other day he was talking to an evangelical, and the evangelical told him, "You spiritists, you keep wanting to improve the world. You don't need to improve the world. It's better if you don't, because the world will end up soon, and then we'll be all together in heaven. So stop trying to improve the world. The world is bad as already is. Don't try to make it better." Again, you see how distorted some views are, right?
Well, there is also the group that they're the creationists, right? They deny science completely in the terms of where human species started, right? Completely. So there's a lot of crazy stuff, but
you have the flat earthers also, right? You have the flat earthers also, right? Those that it's flat. So again.
But there are a lot of people that believe in the creationism.
Yes.
A lot of people.
Born Christians, yes. They are.
And some Jewish too. The ultra-Orthodox.
The ultra-Orthodox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you prefer the dogma than science. Spiritism tells us, stay with science. And I keep repeating this when people start questioning, for those that are arguing against science in different things, right? Even if it's not religious, in some progress that science makes on medicines, on vaccines, on things like that. Said, I follow Spiritism. Spiritism tells us to stay with science. Can science be wrong? Of course it can. It's human. But science is always trying to correct its mistakes, learning from its mistakes. But if you reject science, blindly reject, you're going to get stuck with these concepts that the Earth was created 6,000 years ago. That Adam and Eve were the first beings created by God. And then, if you start again, what I like about Spiritism is its logic, and it gives us logical explanations. And you start asking for logical explanations, and they cannot give you. They get lost because there is no logical explanations. Explain me the dinosaurs, right? Ask these people that believe the Earth was created 6,000 years ago. Explain the dinosaurs. I heard someone the other day say, either it was a fiction. So when you find the fossils, it's an invention. Or I heard the other day, even worse, that the dinosaurs existed at the same time of human beings at that time, at the creation of Earth. Again, explain it. They can't. So, but it's not worth for us to enter into these discussions with people that are not willing to discuss openly, right? If I tell you that is black and you tell me that is white, and I'm not going to change my position, and you are not going to change your position, it's worthless for us to discuss. It's really a waste of time for me and for you, right? And that's what we need to be very conscious of. We need to have healthy discussions and healthy arguments with those that are open to it. Those that are not, again, if you believe the earth is flat and there's nothing, I tell, go up in the plane and see the curve of the earth. Oh, no, that's an illusion. Again, what can you say, right? There's nothing more than you can say.
I'm not expert in the Bible. Actually, I don't read the Bible itself, but I wonder if this end of the world could be the symbol of conscious awareness that we will get at some point when Earth becomes a world of regeneration. Could it be like
Exactly
it's
that.
interpreted as
Yes.
literally? But to me, it's clicking now, this idea.
It's exactly that. It's the change of the world in a new world. So it's the end of the world as we know it, and the beginning of the new world, like the world of trials and expiations to all the regeneration. That's the end of the world that it's in John, the Gospel of John, right? The Apocalypse. If you study it with an open mind and with an understanding of our spiritual nature, that's how you're going to read it. But if you do it literally, then yes, you will be like the guy that was talking. The world is ending, so let's rush to it, right? So we all go back to the spiritual world for the final judgment day, right? And again,
with the guy that you mentioned, I at least like his optimism. He's sure it's going to go to heaven, right?
yes,
That's a good beginning right there. So optimistic. And with the thing, all the sacred books, all the scriptures that are sacred in nature, they are thought with metaphors, with parables, never in a literary sense. And for some reason, it seems that specifically among the Christians is the one who choose to see things the literary way. In Buddhism, in Hinduism, the Greek mythology, they know that those are all images to bring to us a moral teachings. But as long as they keep themselves stuck into dogmas that do not allow them to get out of the cocoon that they put themselves, they will reject science.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go to heaven, to hell, or to purgatory, all together.
I'm not driving that guy, but I want to
It's on mute, Philip.
10:12. Are there any specific places in the universe set apart for the joys and sorrows of spirits according to their merit? We have already answered this question. The joys and sorrows of spirits are inherent to their degree of perfection. Each spirit finds the principle of its happiness or unhappiness in itself. As spirits are everywhere, there is no enclosed or confined place set apart for either one or the other. As for incarnated souls, they are more or less happy depending on how advanced their world is. Does this mean that heaven and hell, as people have imagined them, do not exist? They are only symbols. There are happy and unhappy spirits everywhere. But as we have also told you, Spirits of the same order are together by sympathy. When they are perfect, they can meet wherever they like. A fixed place for rewards and punishments exists only in the imagination of human beings. It stems from a tendency to materialize and define things of which one cannot grasp in the infinite essence.
Yeah, so we know now, and the spirits start by saying very direct, we have already answered this question. I think the spirits got angry. There are no specific places in the universe set apart for the joys and sorrows of the spirit according to their merit. No, in the sense of heaven and hell and purgatory, that you are condemned to be in a place until the judgment day. But we know, and we study that in Spiritism, that spirits connect through their vibrations. So where are we going to find ourselves in the spiritual world when we leave the physical body? We are going to find ourselves surrounded by spirits that vibrate like us, that have the same thoughts, ideas, and dispositions, in a place constructed by the minds of those spirits. So we talk a lot about Nosso Lar because it's a spiritual colony that André Luiz described to us, and there's a whole book on it. But there are spiritual colonies all around the world, above all places. Nosso Lar is really in the lower zones, in a sense that it is first organized place above the lower zones, with a lot of connections with spirits in the lower zones. But spirits that live in Nosso Lar, why do they live in Nosso Lar instead of lower zones or dark zones or things like that? Because they already have a more elevated vibration and an organized mind that can build things. Spirits that are in the lower zones are suffering spirits, struggling spirits that are immersed in their own suffering, in their own problems, in their own difficulties, and have no thoughts of community, in a sense. And then you have the even lower, the darker zones, where the spirits like Gregorio that we just read in the book Liberation, more intellectually more evolved spirits, but focused on evil, congregate and have a group of spirits that they dominate and they impose their will. And how did these spirits end up there? Because of their thoughts, they're focusing on evil, on causing harm. Spirits that are immersed in guilt, but they are not evil spirits per se, are not going to end up in these Gregorio type places. They are going to be in the lower zones like André Luiz was for like 8 years. If you read the beginning of Nosso Lar, André Luiz, what is he thinking about? About his own struggles, about himself. He's not thinking about anything else. He's thinking, he's suffering, he's struggling, he doesn't understand what's happening to him. He hears other people, other spirits shouting at him, and he's there not understanding what's happening around him, but not sincerely looking for help. He's trying to get away from this place by himself, focusing on his own little world. The moment he gives up on trying to solve it by himself, cannot solve it, and decides that I need help sincerely, is when he's rescued and taken to Nosso Lar, because that's when he's ready to be rescued. Gregorio in the book Liberation, the moment he gets bored by being 500 years doing the same things, and he's not capable of evolve intellectually anymore, is when he opens the door to be rescued by his mother. And that's how he's rescued by the end of the book, right? So again, we will find ourselves in our own heavens, our own hells, or our own intermediary zones, the purgatory, which we are going to cover in the next question. But the fixed places that we would go, like the church has taught us, that you know, you are good, you go to heaven, you are bad, you go to hell, and if you are not good nor bad, you wait in purgatory for the final judgment. That's creation of materialistic views of the spiritual world, right? You know, we reflect what we have here. You are evil, you go to prison. You are good, you are rewarded with nice things. And we kind of extrapolate that to the spiritual world and created heaven and hell. And then after that, which is next question, we created purgatory because there are some human beings that couldn't fit on either, right? So the church had to create another terminology. Okay.
Yeah, I have heard some Catholic who come and say, "Yo, you guys say you don't believe in hell, but you guys have your brow. It's the same thing." So how would we answer to that point of view? Because yeah, it's a place of suffering, and you believe that. You believe there's a place that in the spirit is called umbral, that we when we end over there, we don't have much of a good time. We suffer over there. But what's the difference? The difference is that we place ourselves there. We are not sent out there by anyone else. The difference is that we are going to get out of there eventually. It's a temporary place, and it takes a simple prayer, perhaps, a sincere prayer for you to be able to leave that hell. So there is no perpetual punishment. There is a placement, a place where you go to in accordance with when we vibrate. But it's always temporary because we believe in the law of progress. And we believe in the divine benevolence that you send the workers to rescue out of there at the very right moment that you have a change in our vibrations.
Then
So just to clarify, you said there is the umbral, that's where André Luiz was, and there is a deeper level
yes.
because of the intentions and this, the awareness is different.
Yeah, the umbral is
Sorry.
the umbral or the lower zones are the place where you know spirits that are not evil per se, but they are guilty, feeling guilty, feeling all sorts of unhappiness with themselves, but they are not evil per se. So, and it's not there are no leaders in the umbral, right? There's a bunch of lost souls immersed in their own personal problems that lower the vibrations of the combined place and creates, you know, darkness and suffering, because they are suffering spirits. They are not evil spirits, right? The dark, you know, the Gregorio type places is a place where spirits that are guilty, that caused evil because they wanted to cause evil, even if they are in the process of regret, is not yet fully regret. It's something that they're regretting because they find themselves there, not because they regret what they did. You understand the difference? So these are the I don't know how you can call it
So this is not called the lower zone then?
That's below the lower zones.
Below.
Yes. Yeah.
So it couldn't be that we here incarnate spirits at this dimension, could we be obsessed by spirits from these two, because these are actually two different dimensions as well, right? Spiritual dimensions, or no, could they see each other? Maybe not, or like we don't see them,
Yes,
or
again, because they can go to these places. The leaders can go to these places and try to make the spirits, the ones that are screaming at André Luiz, suicide, suicide. You know, they are trying to make him feel even more guiltier, or to make him, you know, follow them. Sometimes they are looking for slaves, right? To bring more spirits to their justice, because Gregorio, in the end, what he believes in is justice, not in the justice, in the good justice, but in the punishment. You did bad, you need to be punished. So that's what he imposes on others, right? He takes pleasure in punishing others, and he believes he's following his duty in the punishment, right? So he gets that lady that killed the four children she had and the husband, and she makes her transform herself in a wolf, right? In the lycanthropy form, because it's the punishment that she deserves, according to him, because of how bad she was during her life, right? And she's guilty. She killed 5 relatives, and but she doesn't. She's suffering because she finds herself in a lousy place, but she hasn't regret. She hasn't fully regret what she did. Otherwise, she wouldn't be there.
so that could be that spirits from these different dimensions could be here with us, and they don't see each other,
Yes.
because the one, maybe the one that's
Different levels. So spirits can only see
vibrations.
spirits that are at their level or below.
Oh, so they would see them then. So
They
the people in the umbral
See
would see the one in them below then.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You cannot. As you move up, you can show yourself to the ones below, but they will only be able to see you if you show them yourself to them. Otherwise, they won't be able to see you. So André Luiz, when he asks where to his mother, where were you? She says, I was always there. You couldn't see me.
But for example, people at the Gregorio's level can't see the people from the umbral because they are a little bit more, or it depends.
They vibrate at more or less the same level, right? So they can see each other, because again, it's not a clear divisions. It's kind of a gray area, so they can see each other. It's just that they're not in the same place because they vibrate differently, right?
Just don't think of those places, of those dimensions, as going down in depth, or let's say of Earth. Okay, don't think that. Think as different places where they congregate in accordance to their level of vibration. And of course, there will always be a gray zone between one and another, and maybe we even go back and forth on how we vibrate. So they'll interact with one another when they vibrate at the same level. It's not a demarcated territorial division, like now you have to show your passport plus one side to another. It's all at energy level.
Okay. All right. We are not going to go to the next question because I think it's important that we take some time on discussing it. And next week we start again on 10:12, and then we read 10:13 like we did today. Okay. We want to go a little deeper in this concept of heaven, hell, and purgatory. So we're going to stop here. This Saturday, the lecture that we have by the United States Spiritist Federation is by Livia Trevisani, they're from Orlando, Dani. And she's going to talk about destiny of children in the spirit world. So she's going to talk what happens after a child dies. The loss of a child is the most dramatic experience parents may go through in a lifetime. The Spiritist perspective in such a heartbreaking topic won't take the pain away, but will bring comfort. That's what she's going to discuss Saturday, 11 a.m. In the talk by the United States Spiritist Federation YouTube, Facebook page, and the International Spiritist Council, also YouTube. This Sunday, we're going to be studying, the first Sunday of the month, we're going to be studying Between Heaven and Earth. I believe it's chapter 15 and 16, if I'm not mistaken. I know you wrote on the chat here, Danny, but I cannot see what chapter are we doing it. I cannot see the chat for some reason.
Chapter 18. And we are about to finish this book soon. We read chapter 18 next week, and then 19. And then the last meeting, we will discuss 20 and the afterward. So we have basically 18, 19, 3 more meetings for this book, and then we move on to the other one. But I can send you more details in written.
Okay, thank you. So this is Wednesday. I think that's it, right? Okay, Zoraida, can you do our final prayer?
Yes, of course. As we come to the end of our meeting, with gratitude to our spiritual benefactors, our guardian angels, as we studied these very important ending chapters of the Spirit book, to understand the resurrection of the body, heaven and hell and purgatory, and to continue next week again. We give thanks, dear Father, for our teachers that continue to give us enlightenment and understanding of who we are. May we relate all that we've learned here today, better understood, and do as much as we can in our lives with this. We pray, dear Father, for all that are going through suffering in this war. May we keep ourselves with prayers throughout the week, with elevated thoughts to all that are in need, dear Father. We give thanks to our spiritual centers, United States Spiritist Federation, United States Spiritist Council, all that continue to enlighten us in our lives and understand, most important, who we are, where we're going, and why we're here. We thank you, dear Father, for this enlightenment. And may we continue throughout the week in our families with our prayers and goodness among each other, with love and understanding. We thank you, dear Lord, and we ask as we leave here today to join us in our study groups throughout the week and return again next week. And with this in mind, dear Lord, we thank you and we ask permission to close our meeting today. So be it.